Hello, Sanam, and greetings of peace. My name is Amna, and I'm a life coach and mental health therapist by training. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar on how to change your negative thoughts so you can succeed. In this webinar, I'm going to go over the 4 main steps to change your negative thoughts, and I'm going to give you 4 pro tips to get started. We're also going to do 3 activities together, 2 of which require a pen and paper. So if you want to pause this and grab it now, that would be great. Also, I will be mentioning a freebie at the end, so definitely stay until the end of the webinar. So you probably identify with some of these, or even just one, where you have a lot of great ideas, but you find yourself hesitant to pursue them because you doubt yourself, or you start projects, but then you stop at one point because you question if you are qualified enough, or you give up. You started a project, you're chugging along, but then you compare yourself to someone who you think is further along or better for the job, and you think, well, what if I fail? Why should I even try? What's the point? Right? And so you struggle with these kind of thoughts like, I always make big mistakes, so why even try? I am incompetent. What if I fail? This happens to me all the time. I fail at everything. If I begin this project, I know I won't succeed. These negative thoughts are really draining, right? And they're exhausting. They hinder you. They hinder us from doing what we want to do. And I'm guessing since you signed up for this webinar, you've experienced either one of these scenarios, or you've struggled with negative thoughts and you realize, right, that it's not working for you. It's working against you. And so you want it to change because the impact is pretty big. So over time, we call these thoughts automatic, right? Because they become automatic. They kind of just kick into gear, right? Like you're starting something and they'll just be right there. And the next thing you know, you'll be feeling like this dread, or you'll be feeling self-doubt or questioning yourself, right? And these type of thoughts, we call them distorted, automatic distorted thoughts. So they're automatic and they're also distorted because they're not really rational, right? Did you really fail at every single thing? Probably not, right? And first of all, how are you defining fail, right? So in the moment, they feel very real though, but really we know that in some ways it is pretty distorted. But when we have these automatic distorted thoughts, they impact our perception and then our feelings, right? And so now we feel more pessimistic, more self-doubtful, where, our motivation's now effective, it's decreased, and then it's like, hey, I don't even know if I want to do this, right? And so you start procrastinating, or you start and then you give up, or you just kind of, just forget it, don't even want to do it, right? So the big question really is, do these thoughts help you go forward, or do they hold you back from taking steps forward, right? And I'm guessing that it's the latter, that they hold you back. That's why you've signed up for this webinar, right? Because you recognize that the negative thoughts, this whole situation needs to change, that these negative thoughts are exhausting, they are draining, and they are holding you back. They are hindering you from achieving your goals. So in this webinar, I'm going to talk about the 4 main steps to help you overcome, or rather the better word would be to change these negative thoughts so that you have these tools and these skills that you can implement later, right? Because of the time constraints, though, I won't be able to go in as much depth, but still there are 4 helpful tips that I'm also going to be giving along with these steps and along with the 2 activities that I mentioned that'll help you get some clarity. So let me just give some more background information as to who I am so you know where I'm coming from. I am a mental health therapist, like I mentioned before, by training. I'm a master's in counseling. I've been working in the field for more than 6 years. I'm also a certified confidence coach to the American Confidence Institute. I'm also getting further credentialed and certified for life coaching by 2 separate organizations that are approved by the International Coach Federation. And I am passionate about self-growth and personal development. I believe strongly that all of us have the potential to do great things. It's just within us, and a lot of times we forget it or it's not tapped into. I believe that all of us can achieve our optimal level of wellness, and I think we sometimes just need some guidance or some push or some clarity around what that looks like for us. And the techniques that I'm going to talk about in this webinar are what we call cognitive behavioral techniques, like they draw on from that, which is basically techniques around helping a person change their thoughts, hence the cognitive part, right? And then the behavioral portion, right? Helping us, implement different behaviors to address whatever change or to help us get to the change that we want, right? And these are research-based techniques, by the way, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. I'm also a Gottman certified leader for their popular and effective program, the 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. This workshop has been developed after like 30 years of research, based on the clinical researchers studying the interactions of couples, especially during times of conflict. So this workshop is designed to help couples strengthen their relationship. I'm also a Gottman educator for Bringing Baby Home. That's another workshop for specifically parents transitioning to parenthood. So it's about strengthening their relationship and helping them prepare for their baby so they can be a better parenting team. And I've also taken the Gottman program on how to be an emotional coach for your child, right? So basically, I believe in making sure that I get as much information, stay updated, so that I am aware of different approaches and techniques that I can use to help each individual that I work with, whether informally or formally, community talks, because, it's important to know where you are getting your information from. And I don't think it's really fair when people, for example, take like a 2-day course and they say, hey, I'm now like a life coach, or hey, I can do this, right, without having like more training. And that's very important to me. So I know we've been talking, initially before we were talking about, the struggles or the types of negative thoughts that a person struggles with, that you may have struggled with, right? And how that's exhausting and draining. And because they're so automatic and they feel like over time they're just like always there, that sometimes it feels difficult to remember what feeling confident is, right? How does that feel like? How does it feel to be confident? How does it feel to know, to be certain enough of something, right? To have belief in yourself, right? And so what we're going to do is just to kind of help you get back in touch with that, we're going to use a technique that we call, and we're going to do an exercise together. It's called visualization, right? And it's a very powerful exercise. I've used it with so many of my clients because it helps you see a different, I don't know if world is the right word, but it gives you a different perspective of how things could be, right? And how it would look like if you were able to achieve what you wanted to, right? So this is not one of the activities that requires a paper and pen. It just requires you to be comfortable wherever you're sitting. So get yourself into a comfortable position. For some people that's lying down, for some people it's sitting on a chair, others it's sitting on the floor. But basically just get comfortable and close your eyes. You should have no distractions for the next few minutes. Give yourself this time to focus and be relaxed. Notice some key areas in your body where tension tends to build. Scan your body now for any areas that are tense. For each one, imagine directing your breath to that area. Your shoulders, hands, back, neck, and jaws. Imagine breathing in relaxation and breathing out tension. Breathing in a feeling of relaxation and exhaling all the tension. Feel your muscles relaxing with each breath. Start to relax your body. Take a deep breath in. Hold it gently and let it out. Breathe in again. Pause and exhale fully. Breathe in, pause, and out. In, out. Breathe in, breathe out. Keep breathing naturally. With each breath, you become more and more relaxed. If any anxious thoughts linger or any thoughts of self-doubt, leave them where they are for the moment. You can tend to them later. Start to create a picture in your mind of yourself feeling confident. You are speaking to others with a steady voice. You are looking at others in the eyes and smiling. They are smiling back at you. Imagine how you would carry yourself, your body. You are standing tall. Notice your slow and steady heart rate. Feel how steady your hands are and how smooth and controlled your voice is. It feels good to imagine yourself with confidence, to imagine yourself as confident. You can practice facing a situation in your life, a difficult situation in your life, first in your imagination and then in real life. Rehearse acting confident in your imagination first. Walk yourself through the situation now in your mind. Picture as many details as you can. Where are you? Who is near you? What are you doing? Picture the confident self you were imagining a few moments ago and see yourself facing the situation. See yourself overcoming your doubt. It's okay if you feel a bit nervous. It's okay if you are still hesitant. The feeling will start to go away when you see how capable you are. When you remember that you are capable of being confident and you are capable of changing your negative thoughts. You know the tools. You believe in yourself. You know you have the potential. You know that being confident does not mean being perfect. And you know that you understand and have learned how to be and how to feel confident. Take a few moments now to imagine facing the situation where you experience the most self-doubt. Now imagine who you will be in the future. This is your future self. Someone who is confident. Someone who believes in themselves. Someone who doesn't judge themselves. Someone who is able to change their negative thoughts. This exact same person is present already within you. You already have this confident self within you, just waiting to come to the surface. Let your confident self come through. Enjoy this feeling of confidence and allow it to grow inside you, enjoying how it feels to be relaxed and confident. Take a moment to take a mental snapshot of this confident you. You can be this new confident self again in the future. Anytime you need to face a situation where you start to doubt yourself, recall this feeling of confidence and relaxation. Recall your thoughts of believing in yourself. Remember and recall that you are not here for perfection and that you know that you will not judge yourself. You may even discover that someday soon, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, you will feel motivated to face a new challenging situation. You might choose to start a new project or lead a team or start your own business. And you might even find that you feel confident, calm. It feels good to conquer your fears. It feels good to face situations that are challenging. Now that you have finished this visualization, you are feeling calm, confident, and in control. Slowly begin to return to the room. Return your awareness to the present. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Feel your hands and arms waking up. Turn your head from side to side. Feel your body waking up. When you are ready, you can open your eyes and return to this webinar. So how was that? Okay, obviously this is interactive, so you can't really tell me how it was for you, right? But one, I'm hoping you got a chance to relax, but two, also to get in touch with what it means, right? To really believe in yourself and to feel it, even if it was just within this visualization, just to remember, right, that this isn't impossible. Confidence is not something that is impossible for everyone to achieve. We can achieve this because a lot of us were also very confident when we were younger, right? So it's not impossible. It's just learning the tricks. And one of the first ones is also learning how to change your negative thoughts, right? So that they no longer hinder you. So now let's get into the nitty-gritty. So here are the 4 main steps to overcome your negative thoughts. 1, increasing your awareness of your thoughts. 2, identifying those thoughts and then categorizing them as to what types of thoughts they are. Now, unfortunately, because of the webinar time constraints, we can't go too much into depth about what types of thoughts, but we're still going to talk about it in an example. And then challenging those thoughts. And then finally, reframing them. Okay, so for this activity, you do need a sheet and paper, and we're going to do this together. Okay, so in the first column, what happened, what I thought. In the second, and what I felt and feel after the thought. In the third, and then how can I challenge this thought, a modified and more realistic thought, and then finally in the last column, how I feel after modifying my thought. If you need to pause this to make the chart, go ahead. Oh, whoops. Okay. Okay, let me go back. So when it says what happened, right, that's the incident that happened. Just think about the most recent one, right, where you ended up doubting yourself, right? And, oh man, okay, and then you're going to think about what you thought, right? So that one is step 1. Oh my God, something wrong with my computer. Okay. Step 1 is increasing awareness, right? So there's so many techniques to help us become more aware and present in our life so that we can stop ourselves from falling down the rabbit hole, right? Now, remember how I mentioned that these thoughts become automatic? So what that basically means is that window of awareness from between the incident and what we're feeling, basically that time when we're thinking, when we're having those thoughts, it decreases, right? And that's what makes it feel so automatic. So one of the best things to do, and here's pro tip number 1, is just try to incorporate at least 5 minutes of mindfulness in your day. Just 5 minutes. And I'm going to send out a PDF of activities that you can try, right? Just doesn't have to be anything complicated. And believe me, this is so helpful, not just when it comes to this, like, overcoming, like identifying your thoughts so that you can change them, but also in prayer and reading Quran and just becoming more like present and khashir when you're praying salah. Like, it's amazing. So that's step 1, right? So once you have a better idea of your increasing awareness, you write down what the thought that you had and the consequent feeling, right? Then we go to step 2. So you've identified your thoughts, right? And the best thing to do is, the pro tip for this step is daily review every night. So at nighttime, just in a notebook, on a pen or paper, on your phone, whatever works for you, just jot down at least one incident that happened that day and what you were thinking. So you get an idea of what your pattern is, right? And what kind of thoughts you usually find yourself falling into, having those kind of, which negative thoughts, right? And there's so many different ones. And why don't we just actually start with an example now, right? So let's just say you just got assigned to lead a project, or you wanted to do a project, let's just say, right? And the first thought that comes to you is, oh my God, I have failed, or I have not done well at all on all of my projects before. Like, every time I try this, I screw it up. So I don't think I'm going to do well on this one either, right? So the incident, the first column is what happened, being assigned the project. The second one is the thoughts. I'm not going to be able to do this. I did really bad on all my other ones. I just know I'm going to fail, right? The consequent feeling, which is column 3, would be what? In this case, a person is probably feeling dread, feeling anxious, feeling self-doubt, right? Then the fourth one is, if I recall correctly, it's challenging your thoughts, right? So this is pro tip number 3. You ask yourself, what evidence do I have to prove this claim, and what evidence do I have to refute this claim, right? By the way, let me just go back. So when we were talking about identifying the thoughts in step 2, and I know I said it's about categorizing. So categorizing, once again, we're limited because of the time frame, the time constraint for this webinar, but it's basically seeing like there's different types of distorted thoughts, right? So you can have like what we call black and white thinking, right? So for example, I've always failed in these type of projects. Always is an example of black and white thinking. Is it always, or is it that sometimes you've done well, sometimes you haven't done well the way you want it to, and that sometimes you've had some, ups and downs? And of course, then the other question is, how are you defining fail, right? Then you're also fortune telling. You're saying, so I know I'm not going to do well on this project just because I didn't do well on the others, right? So this is an example of where you would use this pro tip. What evidence do I have to prove the claim that I failed at everyone? And what evidence do I have to refute the claim that I have failed at everyone? So you're trying to prove it and then you're trying to refute it, right? So you list the times when you did do well and you didn't. Once again, shifting it, right? You're challenging it, and that allows us to do step 4, which is reframing those thoughts. How do I make this more rational, more evidence-based, right? So in the example that we've been using, it would be, okay, I didn't do well on all the projects I wanted to, but I didn't fail every single one. And instead of fortune telling that I'm not going to do well at all in this project, how about coming up with a plan to approach it, right? Or I don't have any evidence, or I'm fortune telling and saying with certainty that I'm going to do bad or I'm going to fail this project when I haven't even tried, right? So you reframe them. And, once again, this is a little bit more like fleshing it out, but this is just for this webinar to give an idea, right, of what these 4 main steps are. The last column of that sheet is, how do you feel after you modify those thoughts, right? So now that we've modified it into more evidence-based, the anxiety, the dread, the self-doubt is probably not as strong, right? It's probably like, okay, you know what? I know realistically speaking, I've done well at some times, and I know realistically speaking, I've struggled sometimes. So let me go from here, right? Now I want to share, so let me just go back. So basically, these are the 4 main steps, right? You increase your awareness so that you have an easier time identifying those thoughts. You identify the thoughts and categorize them. That's step 2. Step 3 is challenging them, and step 4 is reframing them, right? So those are the main 4 steps. Now I want to share this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. I think it is so awesome. It's so powerful, and it's said by this, I think she wrote it actually in one of her books, Marianne Williamson. I don't know if you want to close your eyes and listen to me as I say it, or if you want to read along, whichever you prefer, or just listen. So this is what she says. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And we are liberated from our own fear. Our presence automatically liberates others. I mean, I love this because it's just so true, right? That sometimes for some of us, the fear is that, oh my God, what if I do reach my potential? What if I do succeed? What if I do accomplish my goals, right? And definitely that voice is there that I'm inadequate, or, that for some of us, there's that questioning voice like, oh my God, you're inadequate. And so that, yeah, is scary. But even the thought sometimes of reaching what we want to reach can be scary, right? And this part where it says we're all meant to shine as children do, I love it because it's also so in line with, like Islamic thinking, right? The Prophet ﷺ always encouraged all of his companions to do what they were good at. Obviously, assuming it was halal, but like there were so many companions who, well, not so many, but there was definitely this one companion I remember. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name, but he was an amazing businessman, right? Like just so smart when it came to business. And the Prophet ﷺ never reprimanded him and said, oh, you can't do that, right? And he, took his money and gave it for, the path of Allah. And he was definitely an asset to the Muslim community, especially as they were growing, right? And so it was not discouraged by the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It wasn't something that was forbidden. There's recognition that we all have something that we can do, that with some great potential within us, right? And it's in everyone. And so you have it too, I have it too, and sometimes it's about finding it. Oh my God. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back. So the coaching framework that I use when I work with anyone is, well, specifically with my therapy or coaching clients is, or specifically my coaching clients, what I use is a proven approach, right? It's based on cognitive behavioral therapy. So cognitive behavioral coaching focuses on your thoughts and your actions, right? And now CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, it's been found through multiple studies to be effective in helping people reframe their thoughts to become more productive, solution focused, and to focus on the here and now. So it's not something that's, based on conjecture. This is like they've done studies for it, right? And I've also used it with so many of my clients who've told me that they have found it incredibly helpful. They've taken these techniques, used them, worked on them. And so this is definitely something proven. So when I work with you, I'm using a framework that has basis and has a lot of research to back its effectiveness, right? And so sometimes people will say that, okay, look, this sounds all good, but doing any type of coaching related to this is just like a waste of my time. Like, I don't have time. And here's the thing, right? The time that you're spending worrying needlessly and judging yourself and doubting yourself constantly, that's time wasted. Instead of wasting that time, if you use it towards learning and implementing these new and valuable skills to change your negative thoughts and start working towards your goals, like, isn't that better? Isn't that time that you're actually investing instead of wasting? The other concern is that, any coaching program or any coaching relationship, it costs money. Okay, fair enough. It definitely does, right? But you're investing in yourself. So this isn't like a surface investment. This is the betterment of yourself, which will allow you to pursue your life goals with a changed perspective. You'll have these tools so that you can use them during other times in your life, whether it's starting a new business or advancing in your career or nurturing your relationships, right? It's about, once again, bettering yourself as a person. Sometimes people will say, well, what if I just pray away my thoughts? Listen, prayer and spirituality can definitely be helpful for some of us, and it's very, can be a big source of support. But in Islam, we believe in tying your camel and trusting in Allah, right? So if you have the resources Islamically, you do use them. And so Islam can be a source of strength for us when we nourish it. And also the tools that when I work individually with you, the tools, the techniques, and reframing of the thoughts when we do them, I can definitely work with you on modifying them within an Islamic framework, right? So as the Prophet ﷺ said, as the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, you have to do both. Then sometimes the last thing that somebody might say is, hey, I don't know if this will work for me. Yeah, it's definitely not a magic pill. You do have to apply it, and it does take time for it to make a difference, right? But it is effective. And research has shown that changing your thoughts is one way to change your perspective from negative to more positive. So it does take time in the sense that you will have to apply it, but it also is very effective. So I get it, right? This is a big step. Taking a step towards getting coached on getting confidence coaching and then learning how to change your thoughts, like, that's like a huge step to take and a commitment. But we're changing yourself, right? So that you are no longer, changing how you think, so that you are no longer holding yourself back, right? So I can be your cheerleader and I can cheer you on from the sidelines, and definitely will be, right, supporting you and helping you empower yourself. But at the same time, you are the only one who could be your biggest advocate and biggest supporter. And while I can help you get to that point, in the sense that I can give you the tools to help you, at least initially, like, to give you hope, I can't force you to be that advocate and supporter. And one of the best ways you can be that advocate and supporter for yourself is by taking the next step, towards addressing these negative steps because you want to, right? That's why you signed up for this webinar. So thinking about what the next step is. So let's try one more exercise, right? This one does require a paper and pen. You can pause it if you need to. So you can jot down this chart or table, I guess. So in the top, let's try the first box, right? What would be the benefits of pursuing this opportunity? The opportunity would basically touching base with me, right? Once again, if you want to, what would be the benefits, right, of following up after this webinar? That's the first one. And the box right next to that would be, what are the cons? What would be the cost of following up after this webinar? So take a minute or two to jot it down. It can be emotional, mental, financial, social, occupational benefits or cons, right? Now the next one is not pursuing the opportunity. What would be the benefits of not following up after this webinar? It could be, I don't know, I don't have time, or I'm not sure. And then what would be the costs of not pursuing the opportunity, which would be not following up after the webinar? Okay, so this is what we call a decisional balancing worksheet, right? To help you come to a decision about what you want to do, like looking at the benefits, looking at the costs, looking at the pros and the cons of either following up on an opportunity or not following up on the opportunity, right? And from there, making a decision. So here's the thing, right? As you're thinking about what decision you want to make, and as you're looking over this table that you just filled out, I just want to let you know about a few things. So when I work with you, I don't do individual or group therapy because coaching is different, right? And I can definitely go more into that in our, when we touch base. If from our conversations, you and I think you would benefit more from therapy or as an add-on, I can help you with finding someone. So what I do is when I work with you, I use the framework of cognitive behavioral coaching, right? That thoughts matter and how to change them, and what behavioral things can you learn to help you. And also I draw on from techniques that I've learned from my training as a confidence coach. And here's the important thing, right? We're not working towards eliminating negative thoughts completely, because that's like trying to strive for perfection, which is not possible, right? And it's definitely not something I want to say that I'm recommending or saying that's what we should achieve, because that's dangerous territory. It's more of, how do I, what tools can I learn to change them whenever they do pop up? Yeah, and definitely decreasing their frequency and intensity. But if for whatever reason they do pop up, do you now have the skills to change them and reframe them? And that's what I will help you learn. So what's the free gift? I know I've mentioned a few times about touching base, right? This is a free Skype call, right? I just want to know how this resonated with you. What are you thinking about doing next? Was there something that particularly stood out for you that you found helpful? Any of the 3 activities? Even if you have just more questions about what cognitive behavioral coaching looks like, right? So it's a free Skype call. Of course you can say no, but it's whenever, I have different time slots, and you can book your time, and then we can go from there. I also just want to remind you though that, this is also in some ways kind of limited, because it's the opportunity, because I can only work with 10 people at a time. This is really individualized. So it's not like a cookie cutter approach, right? I'm working with each of you individually. Each of you is unique. Each of you has your own life journey. And so when I work with you, I remember that, right? And I take that into account so I can give you the best service possible, the best quality, I should say, of service. So really at this moment, you have 2 choices right now, right? You can either stay where you are, feeling drained and stuck because of your thoughts and not moving, or you can go up the ladder, start your path to success by learning how to change your negative thoughts and reframing them, right? So it's these 2 choices. And ultimately, it's your call. So I just want to end with this quote by Rumi, or these verses by Rumi I absolutely love. He says, "You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life?" I love this because it's just it just also reminds me, and I know, and we know that Rumi was also, you know, in the West, they stripped Islam from his work, right? But really, he talked a lot about like this connection with Allah and like spiritual connection and what does that mean. And so this is like so in line with what we believe even Islamically, right? Like Allah did make us to be creatures of choice, and you know, we're the ones who have the choice to serve him and to do good in this world, right, out of our own accord, unlike the angels who are told that they have to do it. So Allah has given all of us so much potential in our own way. And when we have that, how come we don't use that? Why do we just, you know, kind of get through life when we know that Allah has blessed us, each of us, in our own way with our potential, in whichever capacity it might be, and that we do have the wings to soar? Why do we not use them, right? Why do we prefer to just kind of go along in life? So this is also one of my other favorite pieces by Rumi. I mean, he's amazing all around, but his work is all, you know, amazing, I should say, or inspirational. But I hope these activities were helpful, that they gave you some clarity, and that the tips, you know, you can start them even today. You know, start with the daily review tonight. Start with the 5 minutes of mindfulness tonight. I mean, I'm going to email you a list of mindfulness activities that you can try that aren't too, you know, complicated or lengthy, so that this way you don't feel like it's adding on to your busy day, right? But inshallah, I hope you find this helpful, and, you know, feel free to reach out to me, and inshallah we can go from there. So take care. Thank you again for reviewing this webinar and for keeping up with and being patient with all of my weird slide issues. and inshallah, I hope to speak with you soon. Take care, and assalamu alaikum.